Hello everyone, I welcome for the discussion on Mach-Zehnder interferometer multiplexers. So here we are going to construct a wavelength dependent multiplexer using the interferometer technique. So let me have a brief introduction to what is an interferometer. So if a light beam is passed on through a slit, uh, the light beams are going to interfere constructively at some point and they are going to interfere destructively at some other point. So the same concept is being used here in order to construct an optical device called as Mach-Zehnder interferometer multiplexer. So the construction of this Mach-Zehnder interferometer multiplexer is as shown in the diagram below. So it has three components which are being used here. So we have a 3 dB splitter at the input stage, and we have a 3 dB combiner at the output stage. In between this 3 dB splitter and combiner, we have a phase shifter. This phase shifter is going to introduce an amount of phase shift which is going to cause the signals to be interfered constructively at some port of the 3 dB combiner, and the same phase shifter is going to cause the signals to interfere destructively at some other port, say port 1. So why we call this as 3 dB couplers or 3 dB splitters and combiner? Because they are going to split the incoming beam into two arms of the splitters equally. I mean the power is being divided equally to the two arms of the splitter. So the function of this interferometer is like this. When you have a two input signals of different wavelengths, say E in 1 and E in 2, they are passed on to the 3 dB splitter. This 3 dB splitter is going to split these two incoming beams to the two arms of the phase shifter, which has which are of same strength. That means to say the signal which is carried by the one arm of the phase shifter is having the same energy as that of the signal which is carried by the other arm. So that is the concept, or that is the functioning of this 3 dB splitter, and that is why we call it as 3 dB splitter, or it is also called as a directional coupler. The second stage or the middle stage of the interferometer, we have two arms of a phase shifter. So one arm is of length L and the other arm is of length L plus delta L. So this additional length on the second arm or the other arm of the phase shifter by an amount of delta L is going to introduce a phase shift onto the signal that in which it is carrying, and that additional length is going to cause the third stage of the interferometer, that is the combiner, to make the signals to interfere constructively at one port, say port 2, and interfere the signals destructively at the other port, that is port 1. So this is how the layout construction of a 2 cross 2 MZI looks like. Let me move on to understand how the interference or the concept of the signals being interfered constructively at some port and destructively at some other port with the help of a propagation matrix. So let me consider the matrix, propagation matrix of the coupler, or what we call it as a 3 dB splitter and combiners, and you can see they are all of distance delta L. They're all of distance delta L. Both 3 dB splitter and 3 dB combiner are having a distance, or the width of these couplers are of distance or length d, small d. So the propagation matrix of the coupler is given as shown here. M coupler is equal to cos kd j sin kd cos kd, where k is the coupling coefficient. Since we are considering a 3 dB splitters or 3dB couplers which divide the power equally in both the arms. So we can have this condition called as 2 kd is equal to pi by 2 or kd is pi by 4. So this is the condition which allows the couplers to split the incoming beams equally on both the arms. So apply this condition to the propagation matrix where kd is replaced as pi by 4. So what happens is cos of pi by 4 and sine of pi by 4 both will give us a value of 1 by root 2. So this is how the propagation matrix of the coupler looks like after it has converted into form of a complex quantity called as j in terms of j. I mean to say after applying the value of kd as pi by 4. So let me move on to the second section, that is the central region where the signals in the two arms come from the same light source, and the output of these two guides have a phase difference of delta phi, because this second section or the central region of the interferometer multiplexer, we can see here we have a phase shifter, and one arm is having a length of L, other arm is having an additional length L plus delta L, which is what it is causing the phase difference. So the phase difference is represented by delta phi. So how do we represent phase difference? It is equal to 2 pi n1 divided by lambda into L minus 2 pi n2 divided by lambda into L plus delta L, where we have considered the lower arm is having a refractive index of n1 and the upper arm is having a refractive index of n2. So one can introduce a phase shift by having into the phase shifter by two means. The first method is by introducing an additional length delta L, or by having different refractive indexes of both the arms. So in this case of our derivation, so as I mentioned, we are going to consider the refractive index of both the arms are same, that is n1 equal to n2, that is effective refractive index, and we are going to consider the phase differences being introduced by adding an additional length delta L. So once you replace n1 and n2 as n effective, so the equation of the phase difference turns out to be k into delta L, where k is 2 pi n effective divided by lambda. For this phase difference that is being generated by the phase shifter, the propagation matrix can be defined now. For a phase shifter, it looks like this: m to delta phi is equal to exponential jk delta L by 2, 0, 0, and exponential minus jk delta L by 2. So what is this exponential jk delta L by 2? So you can see here exponential of jk delta L by 2 is nothing but your complex number. In terms of complex numbers, you can write e per I theta as cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay, so the same rule is applied here, where exponential of j k delta L by 2 is cos k delta L by 2 plus j sin k delta L by 2. So I'm just replacing theta as k delta L by 2, applying the trigonometric equation for a complex number. So next, the output optical fields are being represented as E out 1 and E out 2. From the two central arms, they can be related to the input fields E in 1 and E in 2 by using the same matrix method. E out of 1 and E out of 2 is nothing but M into E in 1 into E in 1 and E in 2, where M is the quantity which consists of the propagation matrices of both the couplers, that is the initial 3dB splitter, as well as the phase shifter m delta phi, and the output, that is output stage of the coupler, what we call it as 3dB combiner. So capital M is a matrix multiplication of splitter, phase shifter, and combiner. You can see here M is coupler, 3dB splitter, phase shifter, and 3dB combiner. It should be in the same order as it is mentioned here. So you can just substitute these propagation matrices of the couplers and phase shifters and start multiplying using the matrix multiplication method. You can see we have M of coupler, M of delta phi, that is phase shifters, and the propagation matrix of the combiner. As I mentioned, the splitter and combiner, both we can call them as directional couplers. So both will have the same propagation matrix. So now let me consider for time being e per exponential jk delta L by 2 as small z. I can, so I need to multiply this first matrix with the second matrix. So I'm taking z is equal to e exponential jk delta L by 2. So apply the matrix multiplication method for the first and the second matrix and just do the matrix multiplication steps, so that you will end up in getting this for the first and second matrix multiplication, as well as, and this matrix for, this is the final matrix after you multiply the resultant of the first and second with the third matrix, and replace j as cos exponential of jk delta L by 2, and start expanding exponential of jk delta L by 2 as cos k delta L by 2 plus j sine k delta L by 2. So after you just replace z with exponential and expand the exponential as cos plus j sine theta, so you can just find some terms will get cancelled. Okay, so you will end up in getting this matrix, after which you can take out 2j as common from the entire matrix, so that you will be end up in getting j sine k delta L by 2 cos k delta L by 2 cos of k delta L by 2 minus sine k delta L by 2. So that is how this matrix uh, the resultant of the capital M is defined here. And let us proceed with the derivation now. Since we want to build a multiplexer, so we need to have the inputs to the MZI at different wavelengths. As I mentioned in the beginning itself, the input E in 1 is having a wavelength of lambda 1, E in 2 is having a wavelength of lambda 2. So both the inputs at the input stage of the multiplexer are of different wavelengths, lambda 1 and lambda 2. So from equation 1, that is the output is equal to m into input. So you can have E out 1. So the individual, the output fields E out 1 and E out 2 are the sum of the individual contribution of the two inputs fields. That means to say, you just have to multiply this m what we have obtained here with E in 1 and E in 2, so that you will end up in getting such type of equation for E out 1 and E out 2. So E out 1 is j into E in 1 of lambda 1 sine of k1 delta L by 2, E into lambda 2 cos of k2 delta L by 2. So I'm just now representing E in 1 in terms of lambda 1, E in 2 in terms of lambda 2, and this sine term k is now replaced as k1 delta L by 2, and here it is cos of k2 delta L by 2. So I'm replacing k with k1 and k2 also, along with lambda 1 and lambda 2. Similarly, you'll be getting the expression for E out 2 as j into E in 1 of lambda 1 cos k1 delta L by 2 minus E in 2 of lambda 2 sin k2 delta L by 2. In general, we can represent k as kj is equal to 2 pi n effective divided by lambda j. So now the output powers, let me speak in terms of the output powers. So the output powers are now found from the light intensity of the source, which is nothing but the square of the field strength. As we all know, the relationship between the power and energy, power is equal to square of the energy. The same concept is being used here. So P out 1 is E out 1 square, or it is in terms of E out 1 into conjugate of E out 1. So let me represent what is E out 1 here. So P out 1 is E out 1 into conjugate of E out 1. So conjugate of E out 1 is nothing but minus of E out 1. So if E out 1 is J into this term, E out 1 of conjugate of E out 1 is minus j into this term. So that is how similarly you can use that for E out 2 as well. So now if you multiply E out 1 with conjugate of E out 1, so you'll end up in getting sine square k1 delta L by 2 into P in 1 plus cos square k2 delta L by 2 into P in 2. Okay. Similarly, P out 2 is E out 2 into E out conjugate of E out 2. So you'll be end up in getting cos square k2 k1 delta L by 2 P in 1 plus sine square k2 delta L by 2 P in 2. So in general, what is P in 1 j is equal to magnitude of E in 1 j square, or is nothing but E in 1 j into conjugate of E in 1. Okay. So wherever you find P in 1, you have to replace it as E out 1 into conjugate of E out 1. Similarly, P into is E out 2 conjugate of P out 2. That is nothing but we can, this P in 1 what we have represented here is nothing but E in 1 square. This P in 2 which we have represented here is E out 2, sorry, E in 2 square. Okay. Please note that point. P in 1 is E in 1 square. P in 2 is E in 2 square. That is this one. So in deriving the above expression of the output powers, the cross terms, that means to say we will also be getting some cross terms such as E in 1 into E in 2 sine into cos. Similarly, E in 2 into E in 1 cos into sine. So these cross term products are being dropped because their frequency is twice that of the optical carrier frequency. So in these two expression only the square terms are being retained and the cross term products are being dropped in the this expression, P out 1 expression as well as P out 2 expressions. Please also note this point because their frequency is twice that of optical carrier frequency and they are beyond the response capability of the photodetector. That is the reason why the cross term products are being dropped. So now, so let me come to the final stage of the derivation. So if you want all the power from both the inputs, that is E in 1 and E in 2, to leave the same output port, so that is what we are aimed at. That is port 2. So we need to have some condition, that is K1 delta L by 2 should be equal to pi, K2 delta L by 2 should be equal to pi by 2. So why we are putting those conditions? Because you can come back to this expression here. So if you take this P out 1 expression, so as we have stated earlier, the constructive interference will occur only at the second arm of the multiplexer, uh, and the destructive interference will occur at the first port. So the combination of E in 1 and E in 2 should come out of the second port, and E out 1 should have an output of 0. Okay, so in that case, in order to meet that requirement, so what we have done here is we need to substitute k1 delta L by 2 as pi to this expression and k2 delta L by 2 as pi by 2. So what happens if you substitute k1 delta L by 2 as uh, pi, sine square pi is nothing but 0 and cos square pi by 2 is also 0. But the same term if you substitute, so that p out 1 will be 0. So same value if you substitute here, cos square of pi is 1, sine square of pi by 2 is also 1. So in that case, p in 1 plus p, 1 into p in 1 plus 1 into p in 2. So p out 2 will be what? P in 1 plus P in 2. So that is what we are uh, able to, that is what we are aimed to achieve. So this is the condition which we have to substitute. So K in 1 delta L by 2 is equal to pi, K2 delta L by 2 is equal to pi by 2. So that P out 1 is 0 and P out 2 is P in 1 plus P in 2. So let me rearrange this term. So K, this, let me subtract these two terms so that we will end up in getting an expression in terms of delta L. So that expression will define what must be the additional length that you have to introduce to one of the arms of the phase shifter, so that the constructive interference will happen at port 2 and destructive interference will happen at port 1. So we are finally aimed at finding out what is that delta L value that can be introduced to one of the arms of the phase shifter. So that is the reason why. So I'm just subtracting these two now. So K1 delta L by 2 is pi, K2 delta L pi by 2, subtract these two. So that pi minus pi by 2 is again pi by 2 here. So here you can take L delta L by 2 common so that the terms get cancelled. Now if we replace K1 as 2n effective by lambda 1 and K2 as 2n effective by lambda 2, so pi and pi I will again cancel here. So we will end up in getting what? A delta L is equal to 1 divided by 2 into n effective into 1 by lambda 1 minus 1 by lambda 2. So that is the final expression of the derivation here. So delta L is equal to 2n effective 1 by lambda 1 minus 1 by lambda 2 to the power of minus 1, or it is inverse of this expression. So if we can just replace this lambda values in terms of the frequency, you can just go with this simple equations. 1 by delta 1 by lambda 1 is v1 by c, 1 by lambda 2 is v2 by c. So v1 minus v2 is delta v, that is the frequency separation between the two wavelengths. So in that case, if we can substitute 1 by lambda 1 as v in by c, 1 by lambda 2 as v2 by c, so we'll end up in getting c divided by 2n effective v1 minus v2 here. So that is replaced as delta v. So this is what we are looking into, the expression of delta L, so which is dependent on the refractive index of both the arms of the phase shifter as well as the frequency separation between the wavelengths, or the wavelength values of the input signals. Okay, so this is how we can introduce the phase shift in one of the arms of the phase shifter, so that we can obtain the concept of multiplexing using the couplers and phase shifter by using the principle of interference. So after we construct the 2x2 MZI, which is similar to that of a 2:1 multiplexer, we can go for expanding the same concept in order to construct a 4x4 multiplexer, or in case we call it as 4:1 multiplexer. So this is the layout or the construction of a 4x4 multiplexer or 4:1 multiplexer looks like. We need to have, as generally speaking, in order to construct a 4:1 multiplexer using 2:1 multiplexers, so we need 3 such multiplexers here. The same thing is brought down here. This is MZI1, this is MZI2, and this is MZI3. So the output of the first MZI1 is acting as an input to the first input to the one of the arms of the third multiplexer, and the output of the second multiplexer is also acting as the second input to the arms of the multiplexer 3, MZI3, so that we are combining two wavelengths at the first stage here, and we are combining another two wavelengths here. So here we'll be getting lambda 1 and lambda 3. Here we'll be getting lambda 2 and lambda 4, and together we are end up in getting lambda 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 different wavelengths at the input at the 4 different ports, and they are all combined at the single port. You can see here. So from 2:1 or 2x2 MZI, we can construct a 4x4 MZI, and we can generalize this by using this expression. We got delta L is equal to C divided by 2 into n effective delta V. So for n is to 1, or 2 per n is to 1, for n to 1 MZI multiplexer, or n can be 2 per n is to 1 multiplexer. So what must be the delta L for a given stage? Delta L for a given stage, say for example it is J, is equal to C divided by 2 power n minus J n effective into delta V. Okay, so n is small n is the number of the stage. J is small n is sorry, here small n is whether n is 4 or 8 or 16. So that is the value that you have to substitute as small n. J is the stage in which you need to compute the value of delta L. Okay, is that clear? Small n is the number that you are taking into per n. If you want to implement 8 is to 1, then n should be 4. If you want to implement 16 is to 1, then n should be 8. So that is the value of n. And j is nothing but the stage in which you need to calculate the value of the delta L. That is the additional length that you have to introduce to one of the arms of the phase shifter. And you can also implement an opposite case of n to 1 multiplexer as 1 to n demultiplexer just by reversing the light propagation direction. So you can see in the layout here, the light propagation direction is from left to right, which implements a multiplexing concept. If the light propagation direction is from right to left, that is in this direction, you can easily have a 1 is to n demultiplexer being implemented. Thank you all for listening.